Good morning, investors and traders. This is Naeem Aslam, Chief Market Analyst at Trade, and welcome to our daily technical analysis video. In today's segment, we aren't going to look at the markets because today is Monday, and that means we have to look at all those support and resistance levels, find out those price levels where we can potentially see some buying and selling coming for the US stock market. So let's have a conversation around those price levels. Let's revise some of the previous one, and then let's see what are the key fundamentals that are likely to move the markets in this particular week. But before we do that, as always, it is important for me to go through this slide of disclaimers and risk warnings. Anything which will be discussed in this particular video cannot be perceived as an advice. If you are seeking for one, please do consider consulting with your own financial advisors. Now, as always, I'm going to bring out the MT4 platform. This platform can be downloaded from our website, evertrade.com. Now, folks, as always, we will begin the work by looking at the prices from a weekly time frame perspective. Now, how do you know that this is a weekly time frame? In order to do that, all what you have to do is you have to click on the weekly time frame tab right over here. So from this price action, what you can see, this is your Nasdaq, as you can see right over here. So the Nasdaq is clearly trading well above its 50, 100 and 200 week moving average. Now, folks, as a general rule, when the price is trading above these averages, that means the uptrend is very much in place, meaning the prices are likely to continue to move higher. We are likely to see more higher highs for this stock market. And of course, for the Nasdaq, as we know that the Nasdaq index has been the most strongest index among other indices. So and last week we've seen the index closing at a higher high. So that means that perhaps we will also see another higher high this week as well. However, in order for that to happen, first of all, what we really need to see in this terms of a price action is we want the price to break above the last week's high. And right now, what you can see is that the price is trading more close to the lows of last week as compared to the highs of last week. So first of all, what we've got to see is that the price crossing above the last week's high. That's the first thing that we need to see. But if the price crosses below the lows of last week, that means the more weakness could be coming for this particular stock market. But if the price crosses below the lows of last week, we certainly do not want the price crossing below the lows of the previous week, because if that happens, that would be an enormous amount of a weakness for the most leading stock index for the US. Now, similarly, when we go into the S&P 500 index, we will go into our weekly time frame. What we see from our weekly time frame perspective is that the price is more trading towards the highs of last week as compared to the lows of this particular last week. So the chances are that the S&P 500 index is more likely to break above the highs of last week as compared to the Nasdaq index. So we could see more momentum, we could see more upward buying pressure, we could see more higher highs for the S&P 500 index as it is trading towards the highs of last week as compared to the Nasdaq index, which is your tech savvy index. And just like the Nasdaq, the S&P 500 index is also trading above its 50-week moving average right over here, and it is also trading above its 200-week moving average, and of course it is trading above its 200-week moving averages, confirming that the price is clearly in an upward trend and the momentum is skewed to the upside, and we are likely to see more higher highs. Now, similarly, now we're going to have a quick look at the Dow Jones index before we call it today. So what we see on the Dow Jones index from a weekly time frame is something very similar what we're seeing for the S&P 500 index. The index is trading towards the highs of last week right over here, and then this is the lows of last week, right, as you can see over here. So as long as the price breaks above the highs of last week, and then we see that movement, that will confirm that this particular stock market is ready to make more higher highs. And if we break this particular high, then the next level of resistance, or the level where price can see a bit of a more resistance coming in, could be right around this level, where I'm gonna draw that for you guys on the chart so that you know where that buying or the selling pressure is going to come. And in this particular case, this is going to be your selling pressure. This is where perhaps you wanted to take your profit, provided that price breaks above the highs of last week. But in terms of a buy levels, you wanted to look at the lows of last week, because if the price comes within this price range, that could be potentially quite an intriguing point. But the important price level in terms of a Dow Jones, it is right over here where the 50 and 100 week moving averages are trading. Now, just to quickly switch over and have a look at the daily time frame for those ones, what we're seeing is that the price struggling to break above the 50-day moving average, because now we are on a daily time frame. So these are no longer going to be your weekly moving averages. These are your daily moving averages. So what we want to see, we want to see the price breaking to the upside right from here, ripping this 50-day moving average and then continuing its trend to the upside. But if the price doesn't do that, and if it fails and then it breaks below the day before this day's low, then the movement is going to be towards this particular price level. All right, folks, that's all for today, and stay safe, happy trading. I'll see you guys tomorrow.